Before I begin the video, I will remind you to please click like if you like my content and subscribe to our channel, tell a friend, and more importantly, go to our website and send us your email address to become a VIP that we can send you announcements and VIP benefits that we'll think of as we go along. So thank you very much, and let's go on. Hi, I'm Miltonchang of Bonsaiheirloom. Today I will talk about Bonsai 101, Chapter 10, Getting Plants Ready for Bonsai. And so I will cover all aspects of bonsai in the sense of how to get material for bonsai, be it you grow yourself or you go buy it from a nursery. I think it's important that you start off with the right foot forward, because if you get a tree that's not quite right, it will never be right, especially if the roots are tangled, which a lot of the trees you buy are actually that because they are growing nursery pots. The roots are quite tangled, and then you can never straighten it out unless you do it very religiously from the very beginning. And they really do increase in value in time. So what you pay for initially isn't terribly important. Also think about the budget and how you're going to do, what kind of tree do you want, and so forth. So I will cover a little bit all of that and go from there. My recommendation is generally get the tree you really like by doing a little bit of homework in advance, and then get a bigger tree to start with. Let's see, thinking right now, I'm thinking about that you go to a nursery to buy a nursery tree to make into a bonsai. Typically we buy 1 gallon, 5 gallon, and 10 gallon trees. I think a lot of the 1 gallon trees are really a little too tiny, because no matter what size trees you start with, it takes a couple years to make it into a bonsai looking tree, and then maybe three to 5 more years from that to make it into a really nice bonsai. So you might as well start with a bigger tree. So, a bigger tree is actually more imposing. I think some of the little mame or shohin are really lovely for very close-up scrutiny, but people have to be close up. They won't see it at a distance. So, for example, a 5-gallon tree is usually $35 to $50, and a 15-gallon is maybe $75 to $100. The difference is really minuscule. You can start with a tree with this size trunk, or you can start with a tree like an elm tree for landscaping of that size. So I'll tell you a little bit about how to transform a tree like that into a bonsai. But in the meantime, I would say buy a bigger tree, given all the same, and because in the long run you'll be happier. At least that's my own personal view. Let's talk about how you buy a tree. What are the considerations? One is that you want to find a tree, you can want to buy a tree with a thicker trunk, as I said. Now, the second is that you want to pay attention to the root, the base. Because if the roots are tangled, which a lot of them are, it will never be right. But if you see a tree that you really like, but the roots are tangled, then what you have to do is you can chisel one root at a time, cut off the cross roots. The tree will heal over, and then you don't have cross roots. So you have to work the roots fairly carefully from the very beginning. The younger the tree you work on it, to start working on it, the better off you are. Then select a tree with a long-term vision. So for example, if you buy a juniper, there's usually quite a bit of twisting. What you want to do is ignore the top. Obviously you want a lot of growth to show the tree is healthy. But what you want to do is look for the trunk, because the method that I prescribe is basically the cut and grow. That means you cut it back drastically to the basic and you build on it but let it grow. So it's really important to have an interesting curve, or whatever the design the shape that fits your design ideal, and then go for it. So look for interesting features So sometimes, for example, one of the lower branches has a little interesting curve. Those will make very interesting vignettes for people's to catch people's eye. I would do a chapter on how to convert these trees into bonsai, but a just brief summary right now to get you going. Let's say most of the landscaping tree, for example, is a straight trunk. Although you can buy Japanese maple seedlings, not so much grafted ones, multi-trunk. And so what do you do with a typical standard tree for landscaping, which is straight tree up and then branches up on top? Well, what you can do is you can air layer the top to make it into a tree from the top on with a tree with a base starting this high. And then the other approach is to cut it at the base. So you have a standard tree coming up and you cut it and branches will shoot out everywhere as a result. And then you can reorient to make the tree trunk turn and the apex turn, and you reorient it again. And that also says is that typically you want to start to grow them in a big nursery pot and go from there, so you can get turns and also get taper as each time you make a turn. And that makes a very desirable bonsai. Now, the other big approach is to collect the tree. And you know, if you really know what you're doing, just like I can go out to my garden and pick out tree to do bonsai any day of the week. Because you know, all of the trees are opportunities, be it in a hedge or a little shrub or a giant tree. I can turn them into a bonsai, of course, of different sizes. And so digging a tree from your garden, from a friend's garden, or from national forest, if you get permission, or collect from the wild, these are all possibilities. I recommend that you collect trees from private properties. And the reason is that you want to kind of save the tree in nature for the public future generations to enjoy. Otherwise, you dig them up and they're gone, and you may even kill it and it's gone forever. But so the choice of having material for bonsai is really unlimited. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video so far. We got a lot more going on. This is about halfway. Please click like if you like my content, and subscribe to our channel, tell a friend, and more importantly, go to our website and sign up to become a VIP for goodies. Feel the consideration for digging your own tree. First, spring is the best time to dig because you don't have a winter frost to worry about. And you don't need, you know, obviously more roots is the better. But if you don't have adequate roots, spring is a good time. If you clip back most of the growth on top to balance the root loss, the tree will survive. That's the best time. Summertime, it gets a little too hot. Wintertime, you have to worry about freezing. And then water your tree really well. Keep them in shade or partial shade. And then, and when the tree started to bud, that means the roots are starting to establish. That's what you're telling you. You wait a little bit though. Then you move it into full sun, because full sun provides ample photolysis for the leaves to feed the tree for the roots, and therefore the tree will grow faster. And again, you need to cut back as much as the top branches as possible to compensate for the root loss. And that's also compatible with the cut and grow method that I prescribe to. And then you reduce the training time by starting to shape the tree as you go, so that you don't have to do it all at the end at once. So the trade-off is between more rapid thickening of the branch versus more ramification quickly. So I would say typically you want to leave the bottom branch uncut so there are more leaves to stick in the lower branch, which is what you expect. And then the other trick, which I think you should know, is to point a branch upwards. When a branch is pointing upwards, it tends to grow faster and will thicken faster. And then you can wire it or bend it to bring it back, or cut it to bring it back at the right height or right angle. Instead of digging up the tree, again, plan ahead always. You may want to, before you dig it, let's say in spring, all year round, you've been digging a portion of the roots, so that by spring comes, all these areas that you cut before will start to root out. And when you dig it up, it's going to be a nice root ball, and you won't kill the tree. So now what do you do with, after you get the tree, now you want to pot it. I don't think you want to put the tree in a bonsai pot too quickly, because there's not enough fibrous roots at the time to help it grow healthily. So what I would do is I would plant the tree in a oversized nursery growing pot. And occasionally, let's say in the spring, you pull it up and you cut off the really big long roots to encourage more fibrous roots to grow closer to the trunk. And then you do that, and you make the roots more shallow each year to encourage more fibrous roots to fit the bonsai pot. And because if you put it in a bonsai pot too early, there's not enough fibrous roots to grow fast. You want the tree to grow fast to give you room for opportunity for clip and growth. And at the same time, you want it to ramification quickly. So it's a balance between the two. And then what you can do, and also the benefit of growing a growing pot, I said, you don't have to worry about the quality of soil too much. So long as you keep it moist constantly and fertilize it occasionally, they will grow almost the same rate. In fact, nowadays when you buy a tree, they're practically grown all in organic material, very porous, but they drip it so that it's constantly moist, and they grow really fast with the slow release fertilizer. But into a bonsai pot, you have to be more careful, and that's why we recommended mix, which is the high quality topsoil, mix 1 part with peat moss or coconut coir and perlite, and that seemed to work really well. Be sure to pack it really tight so the roots can in contact with the soil. Don't worry about over compacting the soil or over watering, because tree likes both air, and there's plenty of air almost. You can avoid to give it air with the kind of a mix that we recommend. And you want it to be highly absorbent so it doesn't dry it out. Okay, and then when you do plant in a bonsai pot, plant it in a taller bonsai pot. So for example, sometimes a tree is very nice, and what you want to do is to plant in an oversized flat pot, and then let the roots taper out to convey the message of a span. And so what you do is you plant the tree in a deep pot, and then when you're ready to go into a thin, skinny pot, you cut off a layer on the bottom, and it will be still standing very high in the pot, but you smooth it out to make it look shallow pot. But in reality, there's plenty soil left in the pot to support the tree. So those are the little tricks you pay attention to create a look, but without the risk of damaging your tree or killing your tree. Well, I hope you enjoy your bonsai. I hope you like my video. Please click to give me some encouragement. I like that, and you know, I'm human. So I hope to see you in my next video. Well, thank you very much for watching today's video. Subscribe to our channel and tell a friend. And most importantly, go to our website and sign up to become our VIP so that we can send you announcements of special considerations. Thank you very much. See you next week.